All right, what's going on, everyone? So we're here at the Dubai Airshow. We are in the Edge Group section right now, and for you today, we've got cruise missiles, drone interceptors, loitering munitions, and drones in a box, which I think actually has a pretty solid use case here in a minute. But we're in the Edge Group section, so this is kind of broken out into a couple different areas. Hands down, the most stuff that I think you all would be interested in is here. So again, a lot of drones, a lot of loitering munitions. When we get outside, we've got some other videos showing the actual platforms. You know, we're looking over an A-10. There's a Su-57 that the Russians have here on site, things like that. Other videos, we'll have that stuff linked in the description below once it's out. But starting out behind me here, we've got the Janiah. So this is kind of, you know, Edge doesn't have like a flagship product, but if they did, I feel like this would probably be it. It's something that they're really proud of. This is, I mean, it looks like an F-35, right? Stealth-ish. And so this is a long-range autonomous vehicle. It can carry pretty significant payload. The range, the payload, all that stuff is very vague / classified. And it's just, I mean, look, they're trying to sell these to military customers around the world. So when you have an actual buyer here that isn't Preston Stewart sharing this information on YouTube, you probably get a few more details. We, unfortunately, don't get those. But either way, the idea with this platform is that it flies alongside manned aircraft. At least right now, that's the mission set. It can be ISR focused, kind of a wingman, right, to a manned mission. So that's the Janiah, but I want to shift right over here to a new cruise missile they just rolled out. This one here is called the Dark Wing. So kind of a short, stubby boy, a little thick. I'm standing here as a comparison. This is the full-size model. I don't know if I should be using myself as a comparison for a thick missile, but that's where we are today. So we're going with it. Look, this is ground-launched or air-launched, which is, of course, an important capability with cruise missiles. The range on this is out to 450 kilometers. So that's a pretty long distance, especially when you look at the size of the munition. 450 kilometers is really reaching out and touching bad guys at a long range for something this size. That distance depends in large part on the payload. So the size of the warhead, the explosive charge. So for 450 kilometers, you're looking at about a 25 kilogram payload, a little smaller. To max that out at 100 kilograms for the explosive charge, you decrease that overall range down to around 200, 250 kilometers. Now, a couple important aspects here. Again, this is the ground-launched version. So there's a ground-based launcher. This fin on top, or this wing on top, is one piece. We're gonna see some other munitions later today where this folds and kind of retracts. Not the case. So when this is ground-launched, this is intact. When it's air-launched underneath the wing of a fixed-wing platform or a drone, like the Janiah here behind me could carry some of these, this wing actually rotates 90 degrees and sits level across the top, and then when it's fired or launched, it drops down, that wing pops out, and it takes off. The wing, of course, helps with stabilization and range. The targeting mechanism here that I wanted to talk about quick, right up here in the front. So there's a couple different ways that the Dark Wing can engage targets. You've got, of course, GPS guided. GPS guided meaning a point on the ground, a fixed point on planet Earth. That is ideal for fixed targets, something that's not going to move. A bridge, a command post, building, rail line, something like that, where from the time you acquire the intelligence to loading the munition, firing at the time of flight, these take a while to get to their target. Again, 450 kilometers doesn't happen all that fast, all things considered. The target's not going to move. It's still going to be hit, still going to be impacted, good effects on target. So you've got GPS guidance, you've got heat-seeking capabilities, so you can fire it in a pretty general location of a target, and then once it's nearby, it can zero in on the heat signature, a large heat signature, albeit, and then radio focus, so RF. So what this can do is, this is important for SEAD or DEAD missions, suppression of enemy air defense or destruction of enemy air defense. The idea there is you fire this into a contested area where the enemy has their air defense radars, and the warhead here, the seeker, is looking for radio signals. So it zeroes in on, you know, the radar signature of an S-300 that is looking for aircraft, or an S-400, right, from the Russian side. It hones in on that radar signal, destroying the radar that's out there looking for air defense. The idea there is that it opens up the airspace in a large-scale conventional war for more fixed-wing or manned aircraft, or even unmanned aircraft, to come in and carry on those missions. Now, we're going to stick with some pretty large drones here, turning over to the Omen. This is actually a pretty cool one. It's a collaboration between Anduril, based in the United States, and Edge Group here in the UAE. So the collaboration is such that Edge Group is setting up with Anduril some manufacturing and production facilities here in the UAE. Anduril, based in the United States, is sharing some of their code base, or sharing some of their code, sharing some of the AI capabilities they have with the ISR that's going to be tied into this platform. This is is not designed for military use, so non-lethal capabilities, which is key here. The Omen, this that we're looking at, and I'll kind of, we got some guys taking pictures, I'll try not to get in their way. So to kind of give you an idea of the scale as I move through here, this is a big boy, all right? So a couple of key components, VTOL, VTOL, vertical takeoff and lift. So what that means is it's gonna take off straight up. That doesn't require a long runway, like a lot of the fixed wing drones that we see here and elsewhere. So it can just go straight up, and when it's ready to land, it can come straight down. Once it's up, of course, it turns sideways and starts flying out as need be. A lot of loitering time, a lot of time overhead. That information, not public. Payload, also not public. Now, this specific Omen here, this is just a mock-up. All right, so this has not been produced fully to scale quite yet. Anduril back in the United States has developed, tested multiple drones just like this, but smaller. So they know the kind of concept works, the software integration, the ISR intel gathering for this certainly works. The partnership with Edge Group is bringing this into full production capacity here. Again, another key component, non-military use, non-lethal. So the idea here, search and rescue, maybe border security. If we're looking at this from a US perspective, how this might be utilized over the Gulf, maybe trying to identify boats that we don't want coming into the United States, or along the southern border, trying to identify maybe key crossing points we want to try to lock down. So again, not designed to be able to carry any sort of lethal munitions. Now, in terms of humanitarian drops, maybe. Again, very, very vague at this point with the capabilities of this system, as it's still under development here in the UAE. Now we're going to shift from big drone over here to small drone, something you guys are probably a little more familiar with. This guy here. We're getting into this drone in the box concept, and I think this is fascinating because some of this, like when they first described this, it didn't click, and I thought, I don't really see the use case there. It kind of sounds redundant. They had this in the back. There's a demo they were showing where this box, if you come over here, sits in the back of a pickup truck, and it drives out into the desert and launches this drone. And I thought, what's so great about like a drone? It comes out, rises up, and you launch this little quadcopter. That's not the ideal use case. The ideal use case here is you take this box and you pre-position it in certain areas where you might need drone coverage at some point. So think military installations where you want to, maybe you're coming under attack, you decide, hey, launch drones 1, 3, and 5 that are out near the perimeter, and they are already charged. This is the station, this is the control station. So it's based off of this, extends the range, and that links back then to the main hub. The drone pops up, it flies around, and you have it already there on station, ready to go. So other use cases, airports, maybe government facilities. Think of a couple of these sitting around like the White House or something, right? Can pretty easily conceal this thing, camouflage this thing, and then it pops out when need be, and you've got a drone ready to go, already tied into the network. So drone in a box, I think actually makes a lot of sense. Again, kind of a pre-positioned type drone. All right, so that was the quadcopter, the drone in a box. We got another version. If you can think of how that would be utilized, the next logical question is like, what about a fixed wing drone? I feel like we're not too far away from that. Fixed wing drone in a box, right? So folds up this thing, VTOL, so again, vertical takeoff and lift. I think we're about to get a little demo here. Let's see it, man. This is awesome. So again, you can see how this, think about this, being pre-positioned, how many of these could be loaded on the back of trucks, back of containerized systems. Look at that. And then the VTOL, vertical takeoff and lift, just straight up from there. It comes back and lands, and you can just swap out the battery, bring it back, put a new battery in, and this thing is ready to go for a while again. So again, this is a small drone, right? But it does not take a lot of imagination to see how larger, much, much larger fixed wing drones could be used in this same capacity. Just turn this, roughly 3 foot by 3 foot box into a 9 foot container, and all of a sudden you're slinging pretty big drones out of these drone in a box systems. Pretty cool setup. All right, so moving on to some loitering munitions here. This one, you can see the fins are kind of like half folded. These pop out, and it looks very much, this is the Shadow 3 from Edge Group, looks very much in design like the Russian Lancet. So a loitering munition being essentially one-way attack drone. It can stay airborne for a period of time. It doesn't necessarily have to have a target when it launches, which is important. generally when you fire like a missile, you have to know where that's going to go, and you have the target designated and loaded into the weapon system when you push the button to go. That's not the case with loiter munitions that have a little more time to be able to spin overhead, kind of looking for a target on the ground. Now, it's not coming back home. So once you identify a target, or whether or not you identify a target, this thing needs to go boom once it leaves. The interesting thing here is the unique innovation is the lift capacity. So this takes off vertically. Even the Lancets right now, the large and the small Lancets that we're seeing out of Russian company Zala, come with a bit of a launcher that you have to set up. Now, it's a small launcher, all things considered, but it's still a mechanism to kind of sling that thing off into the air. This stands straight upright, comes in tubes, ready to launch, and just goes up. Got a little booster to get off the ground, and then it takes off towards the target. So kind of a twist on the loiter munitions right now. Again, very much looks in design like what Russia is utilizing. Missile, loitering time overhead, find a target, dive down and strike. Now I want to show you some interceptors here that we didn't see a lot of these at IDEX a couple months ago. It was in fact something we were talking about, noticed that there just weren't a lot of kind of air defense systems or things designed to bring down drones. It's different. We're seeing more of those here. In fact, we got a chance to talk with the Ukrainian Skyfall company and check out their interceptor drone, which is awesome. Like the most effective interceptor in Ukraine, one of the top interceptors in Ukraine right now. But right here we've got the Vortex E. So this thing has a range out to 24 kilometers, and you can see kind of, I mean, it looks very much like what we're seeing from the Ukrainians right now as well. So again, vertical takeoff. This is designed to be the launch platform, the containerized launch platform. It's still in development, right? So my understanding is they're still trying to find out if this is the right way to actually put this thing into use. But you can see how beneficial this could be if you could pre-position a couple of these containers, maybe 1, 2, 3 side by side, and all of a sudden you've got 3, 6, 9 interceptor drones ready to go, engage targets as they come in. So again, we've got let me make sure I got the stats right here. We got the altitude that it can reach, 8,000 feet maximum altitude, out to 24 kilometers line of sight. So what this is really designed to do is go after enemy drones that are overhead. That can be, if we're looking at Russia, Ukraine is a good example right now, things like the Shahed or Garan style long-range strike drone, the Orlan UAV, Supercam UAVs, kind of larger reconnaissance style drones. This is not something you would necessarily send after an FPV. FPVs are a little too small for something like this, but we're seeing more and more of this type of innovation. Counter-drone drones is the best way to put it. And a keynote here, it does come with AI targeting. So the whole idea, you get this thing up into the sky and it's able to lock on to the drone that you're going after, head that direction and actually make that kill. So of course, a big question here, and I'm going to be blunt, we don't have the answer, is the cost of these interceptors. That's not publicly available. Partially, I think, because this is still in development. Something tells me once this is ready for sale and they're able to push it out and they're looking for customers, that price is probably going to be something that they're going to be very public about, because that's kind of the big conversation when it comes to any sort of interceptors, modern interceptors, is the cost to do that, right? We've got a big challenge in the United States where the Patriot interceptors are so expensive, we don't want to use them against smaller, much less expensive things like Shahed-style drones. So keep an eye out for the price. It'll be interesting to see how this compares with other interceptors in the market. But again, this is the edge concept right now when it comes to drone interceptors. All right, so that's what we've got from the Dubai Air Show. Hey, big thank you to the Edge Group. These guys are absolutely awesome. They're the ones that brought us out here, opened up access to all of their equipment and their engineers to talk through all these new weapon systems. It's awesome. It's been a really positive relationship. I think really positive, like for the channel. Like it opens up a bunch of new information and access to things we might otherwise not get. And I want to add, they've been really great to work with in the sense that they just say, go do it. Like go record, document, and publish like whatever you think your audience is going to want to see. And I personally think that's the best way to do it. Any sort of like control, editorial control, or you have to talk about this or whatever it might be, you have to use these words. I think that's the wrong way to go about doing it. I wouldn't agree to that. I don't think you all would want me to agree to that either. That's not how Edge has operated. They've been great start to finish. So again, thank you so much to the Edge Group for bringing me out here to do this, and to the cameraman, Joel, for being here with me. You'll probably see him on some of the Instagram and Twitter videos there. But again, thank you all so much for being here. Hope you learned something, and we'll see y'all next time.